What is going on, guys? It is Uncle Nick here with the day 2 of the competition. Now, these videos, it will be a 3-part video. Obviously, the day 1 that I put out previously in the week, and then day 3 will be what Miles and I did on that Sunday with the animal cage and the booth times and things like that. And hopefully I will be able to get Miles in on it to talk about it and a little bit what that experience was like and his overall experience at the Arnold. But day 2, what I'm gonna go over is my deadlift, which was an axle bar at 620 pounds, as many reps as possible. A block carry into an arm over arm pull. The block was like 320 or 325. And then the arm over arm pull was like 400 pounds or something. Moving on to the events for day 2. The first event was the deadlift. So that actually went pretty well. I was on time this time, so I did get to warm up. And I was very focused on getting warmed up because 620 is a heavy axle deadlift. It is something, I got 620 or 625 for reps here in the gym. I got 3 reps on the deadlift, so that was my target goal being a second day in a show. Because I knew I was gonna be kind of down because the Arnold is normally early mornings and late nights for us, and I kind of put that into calculation. So I was very ecstatic with my performance on that. I was kind of middle of the pack. At my weight class, I'm normally competitive with top 5 on deadlift. But at a heavier weight, I was very ecstatic to be around upper half of the middle pack. So I was extremely ecstatic with how that went. I got 3 reps on the deadlift. And this, I did approach much differently than the log, mainly because I got to warm up. I took my time in between reps. I didn't rush. I didn't get into a full potato mode and just try and panic for that extra rep. Whereas I got the first rep, I knew I was good. I'm not zeroing. Let off the gas pedal a little bit, make sure I have my air, and attack that second rep very calmly, very concentrated, and make sure I was executing at the best of my ability. And that's what happened. I did that for all 3 reps. I filled the time with my 3 reps. I maybe could have squeezed a 4th rep out of it, but my world was really starting to close in on that last rep. Things were starting to get funny, kind of that underwater feeling. So I was happy with my performance on that deadlift overall. Like I said, I could have squeezed out possibly another rep, feeling how I felt afterwards, but I was making sure I was getting the 3 I had trained for. That was my plan. I executed my plan, and I did what I was supposed to do. Bottom line, and I'm happy with that. After that event, it took me from 16th up to 14th place, so I gained ground. This put me well within striking range of top 10. Moving into the last event, which was the block carry into the arm over arm. Now, we don't have a block, so I was training with a sandbag. Come to find out that you cannot just set the block down. You had to stand it up either vertically or on its side, the narrow side. Why? Because it was easier for the loaders, I think, to get the dolly under it and wheel it back. I've never heard an event that like went out of its way on the athlete's expense to cater to the loaders, because their job is to, I mean, you can still get a dolly under a block. It's on rubber foots. I'm ranting. I didn't have time to practice setting that block down in a hurry like I did on every other event and practicing things like that and working out kinks. So I basically learned in warm-up. Now, I'm familiar with the block. I've had it in a competition or 2 before, but it was either just a carry and then you can just set it down on a mat, or it was a clean and press. Thank God it wasn't a clean and press, because pressing that thing is brutal. You'll see here in the video, I take off with it and I gain ground on these guys, and I was practicing a little hip hop, flipping it and guiding it down to the ground. Well, it worked every single time in warm-ups, and then one time it didn't work was in competition when it actually counted. But that is okay. I was pretty frustrated with that because I lost a second, lost a good bit of ground, and I finished by a hair like last in the heat. Going right into the arm over arm, I sit back with it, I pull it, moved a lot faster than I did, and you saw me kind of stumble back with it because I'm used to pulling on rubber mats where you don't get any sort of momentum built. It's stagnant each time. So concrete, I built a little bit of momentum, and you can see how everyone sat back and just sunk their hips into it and just pulled in slack the whole time. I just didn't have the ass weight to sit back with it. I wasn't able to be as efficient with that technique, but that is a technique I'd practiced. So, but that's okay. It's not like I didn't have the strength to pull it. I obviously did. Had I had more practice with that event overall, what I would have done differently is, hindsight being 2020, this is where you either win or you learn. I learned from this. What I would do differently, like I said, is I would sit back kind of in a staggered, kind of in a tug of war stance, and go hand to hand versus arm over arm, if that makes sense. One other guy did that as well, and he was a smaller guy, and it worked very well, but it was something I hadn't practiced, so I didn't want to change it right then and there at that moment, because it's something I wasn't familiar with. But if I see this pop up again, I now have something that I learned that I can practice in training that I can add to my repertoire of things I can do. So how I mentioned they shortened the farmers because of that Wheel of Pain thing that they had set up for the pro heavyweights, it affected this event as well. So everything was shorter. So I was anticipating to be able to gain a lot of ground on the block carry, and as you saw in the video, I started to create some separation, but by the time I started stepping away from those guys, it was time to set the block down. So I really wasn't able to make up the time I would have normally been able to make up if it was the normal distance, and that cost me a little bit. And this event just came down to not prepping correctly, I think. If you've ever competed, you know what that mindset you get in, or at least for me, is I'm just move, 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 move. So that's why I drill stuff, so I don't have to think about it as much. My body knows what to do. So when I come across a new implement, it works sometimes. I may not be as efficient at it as I normally would, but I will still be able to be competitive through athletic ability and being quick on my feet and quick on my toes. So I'm not upset with this event. I learned a lot from it through how to be better at it next time I see something of similar mechanics and implements. So I'm definitely grateful for the learning opportunity, and it's always fun when I get a very different event thrown in the mix and it's not the same mundane medley or something boring. So it definitely was a fun event. I'm glad I got to be able to participate in it. But I did not lose any position. I still surprisingly finished about similar to where I did on the deadlift. Everyone was flying on this event. There were some of those guys like my buddy Josh here. He's got long arms, so he was ripping that sled to him and just gaining so much ground on the road. But a lot of those guys did amazing on that. Isaac killed it, Josh killed it, two of my buddies. So it was really cool to see them do their thing. It was really cool to see those top 105 kg guys, those 231s, destroy that medley. I love and can appreciate when you give a competitor an opportunity to show their speed and explosiveness, and it's really cool to be able to watch that because I know what kind of work that takes, and to see some of these top guys move the way they do at the weight they are, it is truly awesome. So if you guys are ever at an opportunity to either spectate or compete in a show, make sure you keep an eye on those 198s and those 231s because they are fast and they are strong. I learned so much from this competition as a competitor. Giving a little bit of self-reflection on the competition itself, I'm very happy with everything and the decisions I made. So I just want to thank everyone for making a good comp. Everyone I encountered had a great mindset, was a good person, and to all those of you on here, whoever on here came up and said hi to me at the fitness expo, it was great meeting you guys. I'm terrible with names. Someone gave me this Ninja Strongman little lightweight hoodie and I thought it was pretty cool. Dumbbells are nunchucks with a chain. Sorry if I don't remember your name. I think you might be Ninja Strongman on Instagram. I remembered the gesture and I'm terrible with names, but if I saw your face, I would probably remember your face. So thank you for the gift. I really appreciate it. And like I said, to all of you that came up and said hi to Miles, Brian and I, we really appreciate it. And Brian was a camera guru. Somehow he was able to film every one of my events and with a steady hand with all those people in there. So thank you, Brian, for being a good coach, a good cornerman. You know how to bring me down when I'm worked up like I did after the last event when I was a little frustrated with myself. I gave a little look back to him there like, ah, shit. Like I just wasn't happy, and he recognized it. He's great to have as a cornerman and coach, and everything he did for me and Miles that weekend, him and Elena were awesome. They are a great support system, and they're great handlers as well because they know my personality and they know how I get when I'm amped up, and they know how to bring me down. So moving on to the last thing on this video was Dirty Andy's stone. So we're gonna go over and get with Dirty Andy on that and get his kind of after action review on everything that went on. So here we go. Andy, Mr. Main Stage, Mr. Main Stage over here.
I was up there for a cup of coffee.
You're up there for a cup. What did you do?
I was able to lift the Dinnie Stones.
He lifted the Dinnie Stones. Not only did he lift them, but he held them for
between 12 and 13 seconds.
Yeah, that's a big gap.
Well, I mean, close to halfway to the world record. That's what I'm putting on the gram. almost halfway to almost the world record. I'm not putting that on Instagram.
I will say this. It was really cool to go out there. Meanwhile, Brian and I ran out there like little kids, pushed people out of the way, bob and weaving through the crowd. But it was so shaky because not only were we running, but we were so excited to cheer him on. But it was really cool to see Brian Shaw in his pit crew yelling his name to do a lift after he spent the last decade, you know, being the man behind the gun. So what did it feel like to finally have your shot at the main stage?
It was awesome, you know, like in the backstage with the guys, everybody that was warming up with Mark Felix and Terry Hollins and Stefan Solvi Peterson. It was kind of surreal, like, you know, going after those guys and just being able to warm up and then compete on the same stage. It was pretty cool.
What where did you place? Do you know?
I don't know. I think there was like 10 guys. And I think I would have to go back and look, but I was either 4th or 5th, so like top half-ish, which that's what I was targeting. I was hoping top half, and I was hoping about 15 seconds. Going in, that was my plan, but like when I was warming up, I had the worst headache, just exhausted after handling for Brian for 2 days. Didn't have a voice, head was killing, and it was funny. We were warming up, and one of the guys was like, you know, I'm gonna warm up on contest weight, and if I can't do it, I'm gonna come up with an injury. And all us old guys back there were like, man, we got all those excuses. My back, my neck, my head. So it was kind of cool, you know, just the different guys that were competing in the record breakers and stuff like that. It was a really good time, and I was really surprised with the way I was feeling. Very low energy, just being exhausted. Like I hadn't eaten for like 8 hours. I hadn't peed for like 8 hours. So I was afraid I was gonna pee my pants in front of 10,000 people. That wouldn't have been awesome.
That would have been awesome. that would have definitely been awesome.
Like I said, I got excuses. Like,
do you think, now are you gonna be able to go back next year? Do you know yet?
They don't have it every year. The last time they had it was 2017. So it depends on if they're gonna do it again. Then I'll definitely get in touch with Jan and see if it's possible for me to do it again. But we'll kind of just play it by ear.
I hope so, because Andy, it was awesome seeing you up on the main stage, dude. After all those years of being the man behind the gun, it was truly, I think Brian and I cheered louder for you at that point in time than we did at any other point in the weekend.
Yeah, well, I'll have to watch the video because I didn't hear a thing. I was like tunnel vision. I didn't hear if anybody was cheering thank you, but I didn't hear you.
As you should have been.
I didn't hear, apparently the guy from American Ninja Warrior I was on the microphone and commentating, so I heard that in the video, but like when I was going, I didn't hear anything.
Well, way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
You did your thing.
Yeah.
We're proud of you.
Thanks, brother.
So that's pretty much all I got for you guys in this one. Super proud of Andy. Great experience for all of us on day 2. The next video will be out on day 3 where Miles and I, we went to the animal cage. He did some squatting there, talked about some of the booths we did some booth time with. We got to see our buddies Juji and Tom when we were out there, Mark Bell. So it's good to see all those people and kind of reconnect a little bit. But I will elaborate more on that on the next video. But until the next time, you guys know what the deal is. Get out there, get after it, and embrace the suck.